And now, CL 650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
If I can do anything at all, let me help. A child needs a dad, I can help.
And welcome to Experts on Call. I'm Joanne Sutton, and we're joined today by our panel of insurance experts. And our topic for today's show is going to be everything that you need to know about water damage. Joining us in the studio today from Intact Insurance, we have Patrick Magnuson, along with our resident broker, Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. And today we're joined by Cindy Cardwell, Manager of Corporate Personal Lines with Intact Insurance. So let me say welcome to all three of you.
Hi, Joanne.
Thank you.
Excellent. And as we start every show, we just wanted to ask a little bit about you, what you do, what qualifies you as an expert in this program, and so the company you work with and what you do for them. Patrick, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks, Joanne. Patrick Magnuson. I'm a Director of Corporate Personal Insurance with Intact Insurance. I've been in this industry for almost 20 years. What qualifies me as being an expert? Well, I guess I've just been very focused, and my career path has been all on the underwriting side, and I love dealing with the wordings and developing new products and solutions for our customers.
Excellent. Thank you. Andrew?
Well, I've owned Laguerre Pelling Insurance. I've been a broker for 35 years. I've owned the brokerage for 25. It's a family-run business. I've got two sons and my wife that work with me. So if you come in at any time, there's always a familiar face, and there always will be. So.
Excellent. Thank you. And Cindy, first time with us. Thanks for coming in and tell us a little bit about your position with Intact.
Sure. I'm Cindy Cardwell, and I'm a Manager of Corporate Personal Insurance, and I'm based here in the Vancouver office. And I've been with Intact for a little over 25 years. So I have spent a lot of time working with personal insurance needs, and I don't know if that qualifies me as an expert, but probably pretty close.
We think it does.
You're an expert.
Let's hope.
25 years with the company.
Yeah.
There's a reason you're still there. So, yes, welcome to all of you. And just before we get into our topic of water damage, just give us a little bit of an idea of what Intact Insurance is about and what Intact can actually offer our listeners.
Sure. Well, Intact is Canada's largest property and casualty insurance company, and Intact knows that you want to get back to your normal life as soon as possible in the event that the unforeseen should happen, and we can help you do that. So we show you that insurance claims, they're not a bad thing, and we're here to help our listeners understand that what insurance is, what the claims process is, and what our products are that can help serve you.
And you want to make it easy for people as well, but don't you also offer a guarantee?
We do. We guarantee that we'll start your claim within 30 minutes. Whether it's daytime, nighttime, the weekend, the moment you call, there will be an Intact Insurance representative there to help you get back on track. So,
Andrew, the bottom line of why we need insurance and where we can get it?
Well, we buy insurance to protect our assets. The question is, to what extent, and do you understand what it is you're actually buying? And that's why we always recommend, you deal with a broker, we there's a lot of questions. And when we go through the show today, we'll sort of highlight some of those. There's differences from one company to the next, and you need to understand those because, as I always tell my clients, it's always better to ask the question before than after the claim, because after the claim it may be too late. So if you want to understand it, we're here to explain it to you today.
Excellent. Great advice. Better rather ask it now than later. So the topic of today's program is all about water. It's water damage. What is the most common loss or claim that insurance see today? We're talking about water, aren't we?
It is water. Water in all of its glorious and varied forms. And then we'll talk about some of the different kinds of water. But, water is one of the most pervasive kinds of loss or damage. It just gets everywhere, anywhere, and it is patient, and it will just continue to almost attack. So
it's almost like it takes on its own life.
It really
Water
is.
Just moves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's also one of the most restrictive coverages within the insurance policies that you've got, and that's where we see arguments with the insurance companies is when it comes to water claims, because they do put a lot of restrictions on what they will actually cover, which is part of the good news here today. Is some of the items here are actually being loosened and provided in terms of the coverage that they're going to be offering.
And I've just learned that water actually has now surpassed fire as Canada's leading cause of personal property claims.
That's right. Yeah, it's been increasing both in frequency and severity over the past 10 years, and there's really has been an exponential leap in the number of water damage claims being processed. You can even say we're being deluged with them.
I'm actually quite surprised by this, that water is the biggest loss and not fire.
Yeah, I mean, from a severity standpoint, I mean, we think of fire, and obviously when a fire occurs, it's devastating, and and it can destroy and consume your entire life. And it also has the potential to to kill or to cause harm, where we don't typically see water really being the cause of death and stuff like that. And when kids are in school, they learn about having a fire escape plan and how do they get out of the house in the event of a fire should happen. So there's been a lot of focus on that, with Smokey the Bear and the rest of it. But we don't have Drippy the Water Drip as a mascot and telling kids how to get out of the house in the event of a pipe burst. Because it doesn't have that same sort of element of risk. But from a damage potential, it is becoming more and more common and much more severe.
So let's define what actually is water damage. How does that fit in? Who wants to start?
So water damage, I'll take that one. It can happen slowly, suddenly, or it can be more explosive, such as a broken pipe, an overflowing toilet, a leaky roof, or your sewer backing up. So some things in your home can't be replaced, and you definitely want to make sure that you're protected. And water can damage your home and your belongings, and even small, what would seem like insignificant amounts of water or sewage can be a huge problem for people. And the damage can be so extensive that you may even have to move out of your house while your house is being repaired and your belongings are being cleaned or replaced, if they're even able to be cleaned or replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And so fortunately with some proper maintenance and keeping an eye on things, you can prevent or minimize the effects of most water and water-related damage.
And I think we've talked about this in other programs as well, is it's not just what you see as the damage. I think water is one of those sneaky little things that...
What you don't see.
It's what you don't see. Exactly. So I hope we get to cover some of those topics today as well. Give us an example of what some of the main reasons for the increase in frequency and severity of water claims. What can we attribute this to?
Well, I think we see a change in the way we live our lives and how we live our lives. So, certainly today, less people are home during the day. Both parents are working, so that the home is empty for 8-9 hours during the day. And as people leave, they turn on the dishwasher or they turn on the washing machine. So if something happens and you're not there, it continues to happen for the next 8-9 hours. Because water, again, is one of those things that, unlike a fire where people are going to notice smoke billowing out of your house, it'll just continue to pour and pour and pour and build up and continue to cause more damage.
That's such a great example, though, because how many of you that are listening are like me, that I've turned the dishwasher on and left the house, even on a vacation, which is completely unheard of. And I know I've just broken all the cardinal rules.
I'm starting to sweat a little here.
Yeah, don't sweat, because actually on my last vacation, you'd be happy to know I turned the water main off before I left the house.
Fantastic.
But what would some of the other reasons be?
Well, design of the house. It used to be in the old days, the basement was where your washing machine was, and so if it did overflow, there'd be a drain right beside it and it would go out. Well, now, we've got washing machines on the second or third floor, and the basement's now covered in hardwood floor as opposed to concrete and a drain tile.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the potential for damage is that much more severe when it does occur.
Mm-hmm.
What about sewer systems?
Yeah, and they're definitely another cause for the increase in severity and frequency. They're aging, and they can't handle, when they were constructed, there wasn't the dense population that we're sometimes seeing. So there's more taxing. It's more taxing on those systems. So they definitely are one of the leading causes of it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and a huge expense for most municipalities to replace. So it certainly doesn't happen in a timely fashion.
And it's one of those things. It's not like a new building where it's pretty and you can see it. I mean, they're spending millions of dollars to replace stuff that's under the ground, and it doesn't look any different, yet there's a significant impact.
Absolutely.
There was something that was developed about 3 years ago. It's called MRAT, Municipal Rating Assessment Tool, and I had an opportunity to see it when it was in the first planning stages through my work on the insurance board.
So that's MRAT.
MRAT.
Okay.
And what it does is they map all the cities, and they take a look at the sewer systems, and they project out 50 years out. So insurance companies are able to go in, if they buy this application, and get an indication from built based on the community plans and whatnot, where the development's going to be, the size of development. They can actually see what the impact will be on the sewer systems as time goes on. And it was amazing to watch it and see these areas suddenly become significantly red over time, and to show the potential for sewer backup. So as you get more and more people, the sewer systems just cannot handle the water. And that's why, if a quick tip to you folks, if you're thinking about building a new house, for $150, you can have a sewer backup valve put in so that prevents the sewer backup system coming into the house. But it costs you $1,500 after the fact. So when you're building a brand new one, make sure you spend that $150 and put one in. That's
a very good point, Andrew. Where could we get more information about that? Any idea, or just Google it?
You can totally go to the Intact site, insuranceisevolving.ca or intact.ca.
Excellent. Water losses now cost the Canadian insurance industry $1.7 billion a year. I find that number staggering.
Mm-hmm. So one other reason you were talking about reasons for severity of the claims. The other issue that back, I remember as a kid, we'd have an overflow in the basement, and it was no issue. You'd get the mop up and wipe it up, and that was it. Well, now mold has become such a significant issue with people and health and whatnot that with a cold water release, mold starts after 48 hours. If you have a hot water tank burst, within 24 hours, mold starts to grow. So that's why they have to get in there, rip things up, and so they're tearing out a lot more than they used to, and having to deal with that whole aspect, because mold has now become, and mold's not is excluded under your policy. So if you allow it to grow, you're going to be on the hook for cleaning it up.
So it's not just the water we're worried about.
No.
It's the mold, and there's one of those unforeseen circumstances.
Sure.
So the cost of water damage comes in many forms. We will talk about water damage and what you should be aware of to keep your home safe from potential water damage. That and more still ahead with the Dream Team from Intact Insurance. That's coming up next on CL 650. You are listening to Experts on Call. I'm Joanne Sutton, and joining us in the studio today is the Dream Team from Intact Insurance. We have Patrick Magnuson is here, as well as Cindy Cardwell, and our broker Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. And just like Patrick had mentioned, if you want more information, please go to intact.ca. We'll be right back.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.